Hey family, today's Black History Spotlight is on Matthew Henson. Famed African American explorer Matthew Henson was hired by explorer Robert Edwin as his valet for expeditions. For more than 2 decades, they explored the Arctic, and on April 6, 1909, Perry, Henson, and the rest of their team made history becoming the first people to reach the North Pole. Now let's talk about his early life. Matthew Alexander Henson was born on August 8, 1866, in Charles County, Maryland. The son of two freeborn black sharecroppers, Henson lost his mother at an early age. When Henson was 4 years old, his father moved the family to Washington, D.C. in search of work opportunities. His father died there a few years later, leaving Henson and his siblings in the care of other family members. At the age of 11, Henson left home to find his own way. After working briefly in a restaurant, he walked all the way to Baltimore, Maryland, from DC now, and found work as a cabin boy on the ship Katie Hines. Its skipper, Captain Childs, took Henson under his wing and saw to his education, which included instruction in the finer points of seamanship. During his time aboard the Katie Hines, he also saw much of the world, traveling to Asia, Africa, and Europe. In 1884, Captain Childs died, and Henson eventually made his way back to Washington, D.C., where he found work as a clerk in a hat shop. It was there that in 1887 he met Robert Edwin Perry, an explorer and officer in the U.S. Navy Corps of Civil Engineers. Impressed by Henson's seafaring credentials, Perry hired him as his valet for an upcoming expedition to Nicaragua. Career as an explorer. After returning from Nicaragua, Perry found Henson work in Philadelphia, and in April 1891, Henson married Eva Flint. But shortly thereafter, Henson joined Perry again for an expedition to Greenland. While there, Henson embraced the local Eskimo culture, learning the language and the natives' Arctic survival skills over the course of the next year. Their next trip to Greenland came in 1893, this time with the goal of charting the entire ice cap. The 2 year journey almost ended in tragedy, with Perry's team on the brink of starvation. Members of the team managed to survive by eating all but one of their sled dogs. Despite this perilous trip, the explorers returned to Greenland in 1896 and 1897 to collect three large meteorites they had found during their earlier quest, ultimately selling them to the American Museum of Natural History and using the proceeds to help fund their further expeditions. However, by 1897, Henson's frequent absences were taking their toll on his marriage, and he and Eva divorced. Over the next several years, Perry and Henson would make multiple attempts to reach the North Pole. Their 1902 attempt proved tragic, with 6 Eskimo team members perishing due to a lack of food and supplies. However, they made more progress during their 1905 trip. Backed by President Theodore Roosevelt and armed with a then state-of-the-art vessel that had the ability to cut through ice, the team was able to sail within 175 miles to the North Pole. Melted ice blocking the sea path thwarted the mission's completion, forcing them to turn back. Around this time, Henson fathered a son with an Inuit woman, but back at home in 1906, he married Lucy Ross. He was playing around, wasn't he, y'all? The team's final attempt to reach the North Pole began in 1908. Henson proved an invaluable team member, building sleds and training others on their handling. Of Henson, expedition member Donald McMillan once noted, with years of experience equal to that of Perry himself, he was indispensable. Final years. Henson died in New York City on March 9, 1955, and was buried in Woodlawn Cemetery. The body of his wife, Lucy, was buried beside him in 1968. In a move to honor Henson, in 1987, President Ronald Reagan approved the transportation of Henson and Lucy's remains for Interment at Arlington National Cemetery per the request of Dr. S. Allen Counter of Harvard University. The National Cemetery is also the burial site of Perry and his wife, Josephine. That is Matthew Henson. Happy Black History Month.